Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, this is Vegas Nation Blitz. Presented by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable. Located in the One Summerlin building in downtown Summerlin.
Happy New Year, everyone. Cassie Soto here with you for our first Vegas Nation Blitz of 2022. The Raiders are just one win away from making it to the playoffs for the first time since 2016 after they went on the road and beat the Indianapolis Colts 23-20. Raiders wide receiver Zay Jones eclipsing his first 100 receiving yard game of his career. To say that this game was a roller coaster ride is putting it lightly. So let's go ahead and get to our top stories brought to you by Capriotti's. There's no better time than game time to score party favorites. Order online to get Capriotti's party trays, box lunches, or large subs for the whole crew.
We have adversity this season. We have adversity in the games. It's almost like, gosh, can we get a break, here or there? But we'll take the wins. Trust me. No matter how we have to do it, we're finding a way to do it because we have the right kind of guys, and there's never been a doubt. There's never a finger pointed, at this or that, and we have a bunch of guys that believe that and just keep going.
Raiders beat writer Vinny Bonsignore here with me. Vinny, that was Raiders quarterback Derek Carr saying that they will take the wins no matter how they can get them. The Silver and Black are now on a 3-game win streak and need one more win to make it to the playoffs. To think back to where this team was in November and where they only won one game that month, and to see the position that they are in now, how did they get here?
Well, first of all, it goes back to a little bit of what Derek Carr has been saying all along, and something that we've been writing about and talking about, going all the way back to OTAs. It felt to me, one of the people that covers the team for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, it felt different. It sounded different. It looked different. This team just looked like it was a little bit more mature, a little bit more complete than they had been in years past, bringing in guys like Unique Ngakoue and Casey Hayward and KJ Wright, guys like that. With what was already here, I felt like this team was ready to make another step, but also be better prepared to deal with the trials and tribulations of a typical NFL season, let alone the kind that they've had. But give them credit; they have fought their way to a point now where they're one win away from their first playoff appearance since 2016, and only their second since 2002. It says a lot about the leadership that's in that building and the talent that's on hand, the depth, because they've had to go to their depth chart or dig into their depth chart pretty often this year, and they keep coming up with players that are giving them serviceable performances. So the key now is to close it out, and that's another thing that Derek Carr's been talking about, going all the way back to last year. Just finishing practices, finishing reps, finishing games, and now really finishing a season.
Yeah, looking to finish strong and are hoping to finish off here with two guys who have really stepped up big for this Raiders offense. Vinny, I'm talking about wide receivers Hunter Renfrow and Zay Jones. How have you seen them step up and become huge playmakers for this team ever since Darren Waller's been out, really?
Well, I hate to say it, but there's really nobody else. With Brian Edwards still kind of working his way into his career and, fighting off COVID-19 that he was dealing with last week. Darren Waller, you just mentioned, hasn't been there for the last 5 games. So where else do you go? And to their credit, they've not only been available, they've been dependable. And we knew that about Hunter Renfrow. He's been that from day one. It was just kind of a matter of when his touches, went up, which they have this year out of necessity. So too with the production, and he certainly delivered in that regard. As far as Zay Jones, I think his evolving as a dependable wide receiver was a necessary situation for development for the Raiders. They needed somebody to fill that role left behind by Henry Ruggs. He's not Henry Ruggs, not saying that whatsoever, and it's really still kind of a combination between himself and Deshaun Jackson. But the more he's out there and the more chemistry he develops with Derek Carr, the better off he's being, and the more dependable he's being, and the more productive he's being.
As far as the Raiders defense goes, Vinny, we knew that Colts running back Jonathan Taylor had the potential to completely disrupt this one. Granted, he was still able to notch over 100 yards. I feel like the Raiders defense kept him from making any explosive plays that could have changed the outcome of this game. How have you seen the Raiders defense make a 180 really from this time last year?
Well, talent helps. And so when you're talking about Unique Ngakoue and Casey Hayward and Denzel Perryman and KJ Wright, so it starts with better talent, but also the coaching has been better. We've talked all along about Gus Bradley and his staff, Ron Milos, Richard Smith, Ron Marinelli, the holdover from last year. Everything seems to be in sync. It's not always going to be perfect, but by and large, this Raiders defense has been up to the challenge and has proven to be not just a worthy complement to the offense, but as the offense has lost players and their head coach and offensive architect and John Gruden, this defense has been able to really kind of help balance things. So I think it's across the board, and you're seeing them become something that's a dependable unit. And give a lot of credit against Jonathan Taylor. You're right, 108 yards. That would be a great game for a lot of players. But for Jonathan Taylor, it's a manageable game. You would take that as the Raiders defense. It's when he goes off for 185 and 3 touchdowns that you really got to start worrying. They made sure that didn't happen.
Around the League, brought to you by Pirate Plumbing, the masters of disasters. Hey everybody, it's Heidi Fang, and it's time to take a look at the AFC Playoffs because it's just 1 week away and still lots of things to get settled here. And joining me to discuss that is Adam Hill. Adam, what do you see when you look around and see what's happening with this AFC playoff picture?
Yeah, listen, the playoff picture is wild, but it's also kind of not. We've got 5 teams that are in, 2 more teams that are fighting to get in. But we have some clarity on who those teams might be. But when you look at the 1 seed, this is an example of just how crazy things are in the AFC. 4 teams still alive for the 1 seed, and one of them right now isn't even leading in their division and wouldn't win their division if the season ended today. So you're looking at Tennessee, most likely team to get the 1 seed. All they have to do is win. Kansas City, they're also fighting for the 1 seed. Cincinnati has an outside shot, but it looks like they're not going to play any of their starters on Sunday, so we could probably eliminate them. New England, who right now trails Buffalo, can get the 1 seed. Buffalo, who's ahead of New England, can't get the 1 seed. It's still crazy, but there is some clarity there. We just know Tennessee most likely to be that 1 seed, and of course that does apply to the Raiders, Heidi.
They have the Chargers ahead. This is a must-win situation, but break down for us all that could happen with the Raiders and the Chargers in this Sunday night football game.
Yeah, so the Colts will play first. They play Jacksonville. Everyone on the planet expects the Colts to win, which would make the Raiders and the Chargers a play-in game. For the first playoff game of the year will be Raiders and Chargers on Sunday night. But we expect that Jacksonville does lose to the Colts. That puts the Colts in. That's the 6th team in the playoff, and the 7th team would be the winner between the Raiders and the Chargers. But there is that crazy scenario where the Jacksonville Jaguars win and things work out that the Chargers and Raiders could both get in as long as they tie each other, which means they could just down the ball back and forth and both make the playoffs. I don't think anybody expects that to happen, but it is a very, very fun scenario to think about.
Great stuff as always. Thank you, Adam.
D&R House of Diamonds is Las Vegas's elite private office jeweler, the perfect bridge between internet pricing and a traditional brick-and-mortar jewelry store. We specialize in loose diamonds, natural and lab-grown, engagement rings, fashion jewelry, custom design, and jewelry repairs. We operate by appointment in our beautiful offices in the One Summerlin building, downtown Summerlin. Our great relationships with the world's largest diamond wholesalers and our low overhead saves you hundreds, if not thousands, on your purchase.
Vegas Nation Injury Brief, sponsored by Knockfee Injury Law.
Sam Gordon here, checking in with this week's injury brief. The Raiders got some good news, and Raiders fans did too, that Darren Waller was back at practice on Wednesday, albeit in a limited capacity. Of course, his first time running around in quite some time. Rich Bisaccia made point of that. It's going to take some time, but there is optimism that he could return Sunday for the biggest game of the year. However, Jonathan Hankins still battling through some back issues. He was off on Wednesday. Optimism that he returns later in the week. Denzel Perryman also limited with that lingering ankle injury. So was Josh Jacobs with his rib injury that he sustained during the Colts. Limited. Looks like they'll play, but again, limited on Wednesday. That's where we're at on Wednesday. Of course, do or die against the Chargers on Sunday. The Raiders want to be as healthy as possible, and we will continue to keep you posted on VegasNation.com with any developing injury updates throughout the course of the week. I'm Sam Gordon. This is the Injury Brief.
Vegas Nation, the road ahead, sponsored by your Southern Nevada Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Cassie Soto here with you, and I am joined by Las Vegas Review-Journal sports columnist Ed Graney. Ed, as the Raiders are preparing to play in one of the biggest and for sure the most meaningful games of the season, they are once again having to deal with off-the-field antics. Raiders rookie cornerback Nate Hobbs was arrested early Monday morning on the suspicion of driving under the influence. How does this happen? After just 2 months ago, we saw the horrible crash former wide receiver Henry Ruggs was involved in.
It's amazing, Cassie. You know, we put together a timeline of when they probably left Indianapolis. Maybe if they got on their charter at 7 local time, you fly 4 hours, you get 3 hours back, 8, 9 when you get into town. You would think, given what this game means against the Chargers, and they know what it meant, they have to win to get to the playoffs, unless a lot of other crazy things happen across the league, that they would have all said, you know what, it's time to focus in, it's time to get home, it's time to rest. There's going to be a big week ahead of us. And Nate Hobbs is found in this situation. It's inexcusable, really. I've got to tell you, I don't understand these guys at their level with their financial backing and the money they have, not to get an Ubers, not to call teammates, not to make a call. I just don't understand it. I know he's young. I know people make choices that are not good. Henry Ruggs made an enormously horrible mistake in terms of choice, not a mistake, excuse me, a horrible choice. And this was a choice of Nate Hobbs as well. I don't understand it. Supposedly it's a misdemeanor, but still you are taking focus away from the most important game in years for this team. They've not been to the playoffs since 2016. This is the most important week in years, and he's taking attention away from it.
Yeah, well, I want to bring up something that Raiders interim head coach Rich Bisaccia said, because you and I have both lived in this city for a very long time. He said that we are very cognizant of the city that we're in. Do you think that's sort of a cheap shot at Las Vegas? Because these guys, again, as you say, the means that they have, they're young adults, yes, but they are adults. And again, it's one of the biggest weeks for this team. Do you feel like he maybe sort of misspoke there?
I think he didn't misspoke. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's there. He just learned about Nate Hobbs. But again, that statement on his basis is ignorant. This stuff happens all across the world, all across the country. Do you know what state is in the most DUIs per 1,000? Wyoming. It happens everywhere. This is not a Las Vegas fault. This is a fault of irresponsible adults, which Henry Ruggs is, which Nate Hobbs is, which these guys who are doing these things, they're adults. They're making choices, bad choices. I'm going to give Rich, again, the benefit of the doubt right now. He was kind of probably rushed into it. He just learned about Nate Hobbs. He's being asked these questions. But I think if he thought about it, and I think if someone at the Raiders told him, look, that's not the best answer. This is not a Las Vegas problem. This is an irresponsibility problem by adults.
Well, I know that this is obviously further down the road here, but how important will this year's draft be for this Raiders team? We've heard Mike Mayock, Raiders GM, say before that they only draft high-character guys, and he's had to take that back with the whole Damon Arnett situation, and we've seen that time and time again this season, that not all of the players are as high character, or maybe the team doesn't hold them to as high of standards. But this year's draft, the spotlight's going to be on this team.
Well, it's very important. We're both assuming, and I think it's assuming the right way, that Mike Mayock's going to be the general manager. I feel that way. I believe he'll stay on as general manager. We're going to see something different here, because I think we all assumed John Gruden had complete control of all the drafts before. I'm sure Mike Mayock had input. If not, I don't know why he's here if he didn't have input in previous drafts. But now, if he is the GM, he'll be in charge of the draft. So let's see who they draft. They need help a lot of places, even if they make the playoffs. Offensive line, maybe a number one receiver. They need help places that a draft can provide. But let's get back to this character issue and see what Mike Mayock says after the next draft in terms of who he drafts. If in fact he is the GM, I think we're all assuming he will be.
That'll do it for another episode of Vegas Nation Blitz. For more Raiders news, head on over to vegasnation.com. And it is winner take all in this Week 18 matchup. The Raiders hosting the Chargers on Sunday Night Football, the last regular season game of the year. We'll bring you everything you need to know in Friday's episode of Vegas Nation Game Day. For our entire Vegas Nation crew, I'm Cassie Soto. We'll see you then. Join the action with the Las Vegas Review-Journal's Pro Football Contest. Predict each week's winning team for a chance to win a $25 gift card from presenting sponsor Capriotti's or a $30 gift card from Big Dogs Brewing Company. Sign up today at lvrj.com/pro football.
Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, this is Vegas Nation Blitz. Presented by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable. Located in the One Summerlin building in downtown Summerlin.